Hey guys, this is Injustice Josh. I am now talking about Batman Beyond from memory. Again, it's called From Memory because I watched this series like a year and a half ago, and I'm basically writing down my thoughts from each episode as I remember it. I will also be talking about Zeta Project and the Batman Beyond movie, as Zeta Project is literally connected to Batman Beyond. So I haven't uploaded in a while. The From Memory videos, for example. It's just my care for these has honestly gone down, but a little bit. But people watch them, so I'm gonna keep making them. And there's not that many left. There's Batman Beyond. There's Justice League. There's Justice League Unlimited. There's Static Shock. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but those are the four right now that are quickly coming up in my mind. So yeah, I'm almost done. So before I get to the episodes, just a quick little story about my introduction to Batman Beyond and also a fun little story that happened to me with the theme song. So when I was growing up in my school, they allowed us to have smartphones, but we could never take them out. So we could bring them to school in case of an emergency, but we were never allowed to actually use them. There were like rarely moments in class when we could use them, but again, that was rare. So one day I was in a science class, you know, those quiet science classes with the black desks, those really cold rooms. Well, I was on the computer, I was on my headphones, and my binder was on my desk, and suddenly loud music started blaring from it. I couldn't hear, so someone had to get me, and when I went to my desk to get my phone to turn off the music, it was the Batman Beyond theme song playing as a ringtone. I remember the kid in front of me was like, nice, that's so cool. Like, because a frail nerd like me having such a cool theme song, I was like, what? And I didn't even know that it was Batman Beyond. I got it from a random like music app where you could download random music. And I randomly found the Batman Beyond theme song on there. And I used that as my theme song. Back then I had like an Android phone that looked like a BlackBerry. It was touchscreen, but it didn't look like it was touchscreen. Anyway, let's get to the episodes now. Possibly the best written piece from the show. Not that the rest of the show is bad, but not as tight and as focused as this. Ink is actually a great villain for Terry's gallery. Dangerous, yet human. So kind of like Clayface? I remember this one a bit more vividly. Typical jock versus nerd tale, but it fits the show. I don't remember this one very well, other than Terry using the freeze gun from BTAS. I like the mysterious take on superheroes here, fitting as I'm watching Invincible right now. This is basically like if the Fantastic Four was in a dark universe. No, not like that. I like this guy, Sonic-powered tech along with the cool voice and a Ben 10 suit. Nice. So Melanie's basically Terry's Catwoman. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense he goes for her type when you know the backstory behind Terry. Storylines like this are what make this show shine. Gotham dealing with the aftermath of yesteryear's villains even while they are in their deathbed. I don't remember this one, but I will say that Barbara being the commissioner is great for this series. I'm gonna say this series a lot because personally I don't see this as the future of the DCAU, but an alternate darker timeline where things go wrong. I only remember the Ink Simp and the Bully Batsuit. Bully Batsuit? The Bully Batsuit? Bully? Yes, very Deathstroke-like villain. Pretty cool, but why is her skin Smurf-like? Good finale that wraps up the story from pilot. Took the whole season to get here. Not too big a fan of shows that have a great pilot, filler, and then a great finale. I'd rather watch each episode as a piece of a puzzle. The addition of animal/human hybrids is a great addition to this Neo-Gotham, especially as we saw the inception of such through Milo's research in BTAS. A great freaking episode. I think I remember it made me cry. The Jokers are fine. I remember the line by one of them, You sound hot. Are you hot? I vaguely remember this. The intro of Max, I think. Basically Terry's friend / Robin sidekick person. Look, I didn't find her at all that appealing, to be honest. She just sounded like that poodle from Clifford.
Really bad case of cookie eye. And he's connected to our school.
I mean, the guy was as bland as oats, but he sure gives Terry the beating of his life. Teen drama. I can fix her, basically. Dana's right there, Terry. What are you doing? This one's a good one that feels eerie to watch as we get closer to that Ready Player One virtual fantasy world. This one I remember the most vividly, yeah. It's a Dana-centric episode and a boy with Ant-Man powers, but for rats, who likes Dana. It's such a great episode for Dana. She got a lot of development, and I kind of wish we got more episodes like this for her. Terry meets the Addams Family. I think this was like a Nickelodeon episode where characters get together for like a Halloween special. Okay, so other than the biblical reference, I don't remember this one. This was wild. I remember some poor kid's house goes in flames at a party. Dang, I don't remember. While I'm here, I wanted to highlight Mad Stan and how great of a villain he is. How he's basically the mimesis. How he's basically the mimesis of those conspiracy theorists that take it to the extreme, like Alex Jones or something. No memory of this one. Yes, I remember thinking this was an interesting one. I liked how we got more interactions from Terry, or Dana's friend. I vaguely remember an intricately formulated plan from a man to Batman, but otherwise, nah, I don't remember. I found this one pretty intriguing, actually. The best reporter in the world, essentially. This was a cute one. I like when tough heroes are placed in a ridiculous situation, Mandalorian style. It shows who they really are. Basically the pre-Zeta Project. I guess they liked it so much to turn him into a mainstay. The Cobra cult here is basically Hydra, right? If those guys from the Superman show are AIM, then these guys are Hydra. This one's a freaky one, but pretty common in a cyberpunk style of setting. I think I remember not being too fond of this one. Like, it's a fun Star Wars reference, not really that well written. Dang, no recollection here. I think I remember this one. Seeing Bruce as a vulnerable old man hurts. I know it's a big thing of this show, but I feel like Bruce, aka Batman, with the technology of the time, would find a way to augment his body to continue being Batman should the need arise. Like, I get he has the suit that enhances his strength and stuff, but like, it's the future. There's no way that Bruce would stop being Batman. I mean, how old is he anyway? I don't remember, actually. If he's like 90, then okay. I'm really glad Ace got his own episode. Just want to point out the details added when Terry's suit gets damaged. I think this one's the one with the mutiny between the Royal Flush Gang. I love the designs for these guys. Imagine seeing them in live action. Ooh. Yes, I remember this one. Terry befriends this girl who has a force field. It's a pretty touching episode, though yet another girl wants Terry other than Dana. What's up with that? This one humanizes Ink more. For some reason I get Poison Ivy vibes. Maybe that's because she's motherly and mature as well. Yeah, this one felt kind of out of nowhere, literally, but it was still a good story. Dude, yes, this episode rocks. Bruce and Terry fighting side by side. Wow, such a treat. Also, Raish coming back always rocks too. Makes everything feel so grandiose. Though Talia should have just had the same voice throughout. I guess they couldn't rely on facial expressions, so they had to make it obvious it was Raish, especially for the kids. But just speaking lore-wise. Hey, it's Grodd's grandson. This right here is exactly why I don't like this show as the future timeline of the DCAU. Where's Wonder Woman? She's a goddess. Superman doesn't have the same voice actor, and the League fights each other all over again. I wouldn't mind it as much as if we actually got lore gaps in between, or at least how we got here in the first place. It's just so bleak having Superman mind controlled for so many years. So Big Time isn't really that deep of a villain, but the interactions he has with Terry are actually pretty morally philosophically interesting. Ah yes, Lizard Loki. I gotta say, I watched the entirety of the Zeta Project and they aren't as cool as they are here. Not that the show is bad, but it's easier to make characters cooler in a short cameo appearance than their own show where they're vulnerable and there's more emotional depth. Typical Secret Identity Crisis episode, but it's done here with the same level of thrill and intrigue. Wait, that's Batman Beyond, right? Batman Beyond only had 2 seasons? Oh, shoot. So Batman Beyond is a cool piece of Batman history. I love when we see other eras of a hero's life, so in that regard, I respect it. Otherwise, the show is alright. The idea of it is better than what it actually accomplishes. Like that cancelled Beyond movie by the creators of the Spider-Verse probably would have done it so much justice. Batman Return of the Joker. This movie is also the symptom of the pessimistic or realistic tone of the Beyond Future world. Tim Drake is turned into the Joker. This is darker than Killing Joke. Pretty wild for a movie to do this and an animated one at that. You even get the intros for the DDs, which are like proto-Harleys. Also, old Harleen shows up at the end, who is technically their aunt, so that makes sense. You know, with how athletic Harley was, I don't buy she wouldn't age as well. Then again, it is Gotham, and then again, she is unstable. I gotta say, usually pilots are spectacular, better than the rest of the show itself. But here, Zeta Project is definitely a show that grows on you. The characters as well. It's a show that characters and the show, the development is very slow. The amount of development they get is like just a few percentage points each episode. So you're in it for the long haul, really. So these episodes aren't as detailed as other DC shows. Like there's really not much going on in each episode. So I'll just point out one thing from the show I remember. So I remember the speculation that the redheaded Agent West is related to the Flash. Like he's even voiced by the same voice actor in Michael Rosenbaum. First appearance of the boy genius Bucky. If you think of him as insufferable here, it's on purpose. You'll see down the road that he develops. So in the show, Ro wears this like Tron-like vest. Z wears this generic purple bathrobe thing. I'm curious on the significance of it. I'm not saying how he acquired it, but why the creators chose that look for him. And Ro as well. Technically, Tron does have ties to Greek mythology, and since this show has Greek letters as well, with Zeta and Rho being letters in the Greek alphabet, I wonder what the connection is there. There's probably a connection there. Someone tell me. Someone who knows Greek mythology can probably tell me why Tron and Zeta Project, what's their connection to Greek mythology? I'd love to know. Yeah, this is the one with the evil buff Zeta. Is this the scariest episode for Zeta? This was a fun one. West doesn't seem like an incapable man, but somehow he always fails. He successfully fails his task. He constantly trips over himself, like Darth Maul from Star Wars, doomed to lift the boulder up a mountain, only to have it fall down again. A great sentimental Ro episode, the drama with her father felt real and fit the setting. I feel like I'll be the father when I grow older. I don't see robots as real living beings, just our creation. Do so as we wish. People say, oh, robots are the same as us. They're just mechanical and we're organic. But robots didn't create us. We created robots. It's different. If you destroy an Xbox, you don't feel sad for it. Just because the computer mechanisms inside of it are so advanced to make it mimic life does not mean that it is alive. Unless you believe in souls and spirits, and you believe that somehow an essence of a soul is infused into a synthetic being, then that's a different story. I'll agree with you there. It's pretty weird when you don't want the hero to succeed because they aren't informed on the context of the situation as you are. Also, Terry gets hit in the head by an old lady with the party, so there's that. See, this is what I meant when I mentioned Zeta and Ro's cameo. They're cooler in Beyond, but here you feel for Ro and especially Zeta. They're not cool, they're human, they're touching. Man, I don't remember this one, and the IMDb page for this show is completely useless because it's such a niche show, so there's less pictures and less information. Okay, I lied. In the next gen, this guy gives Zeta the most trouble. Not a complex villain, but dangerously portrayed. My man looks like Despero from The Flash. I think I remember Ro's brother being a fake, but maybe that was another show. This was quite a delightful episode. How do you convince Bucky, a selfish, arrogant young man, to learn the lesson of humility and appreciation? By literally babysitting their parents. This is the turning point in Bucky's character that you start to think that there's hope for him yet. Man, I don't remember the story, but I like the depth added to Agent Lee's character through her leaving Bennett's team. Bennett is basically the leader of the people who are hunting Zeta and Ro. The only reason I point that out is because this show doesn't necessarily have a lot of action in a narrative sense. You take what you can get. Okay, I remember this one being really good. First, the creepy scenarios that both Ro and Zeta were in. Basically, Ro was locked inside with this obsessed fan, and there was this tech lady who was trying to dissect Zeta. Okay, I take it back. This is actually the scariest Zeta episode. This is wild. A kid constructs a killer robot to fight Zeta using Amazon scrap. This kid built a killer robot in his house with Amazon scraps. Okay, that I did not. I butchered that, right? Yeah, I totally butchered that. No memory. I wish I remembered details, but this one was well written. Okay, I don't remember this, but I remember this episode is where Bucky cements himself as a vital and welcoming part of the team. Yeah, this one with the two brothers who wanted to chase storms and one wanted to prove themselves. Great episode. This one was good too. We see Bennett as a human being spending time with his son. I feel like I've seen this story before where it takes a crisis for people to make amends. Oh wait, this one is the one with Ro's fake brother. You see how all these episodes meld together for me? Oh man. This one felt wider in scale. What does that mean? I don't remember. This is similar to the episode with Ro's father. Man, I'm mixing episodes again. I think this is where I was getting a bit old of the story. Fitting as it's literally the second to last episode. Well-written mystery episode. And that's that. Zeta Project was an interesting concept that shouldn't have been made into a show. Their storyline should have been a recurring beat in Batman Beyond, like how different characters are the protagonists in Justice League Unlimited. I am, however, grateful and glad it exists, as it's literally free to watch legally on the library database. Now, I have seen Dede reach Bader, gosh, I totally butchered that, as the serious yet innocent android in Zeta. Next, I will see him as the dark but campy knight in Brave and the Bold. So, despite the show being okay, I would love to see Zeta and Ro again. I think they're interesting characters, more so Zeta. But, it's interesting because Zeta's cooler and he's the robot. He's, got all the abilities and stuff. He's the hero of the show. But Ro provides humanity and relatability to it. So, they're a really interesting dynamic. And, oh man, I would love if, James Gunn did something with them for the DCU. If they ever do Batman Beyond, because Batman Beyond is so cool. It's such a good IP and world and timeline, dimension, whatever, future. That if they were to ever do something like that, you gotta add Zeta and Ro in there. It's so cool. So that's what I want.